Okay, we just looked at our definition of relation with our Fryer model. Now we're going to take a look at some examples. Given a set of ordered pairs, right here, I want to express this relation, and it is a relation because it's all these ordered pairs. I'm going to express it as a table, in a graph, and a mapping, and then I'm going to determine what the domain and range are. So I'm going to start with converting this set of ordered pairs into a table. And here's what I do. I take the numbers. The first number are my x values. The second number are my y values. So this one becomes -1, -1. I take my next ordered pair. The first number is 1. That's my x value. The second number is also 1, but that's my y value. Right here, I take this ordered pair. The x value is 2. The y value is 1. And right here, my x value is 3. My y value is 2. Now, in a graph, these are ordered pairs. These represent points on the graph. The first number is the horizontal axis. The numbers to the right here, this center, origin, is 0, 0. The numbers to the right are positive x values, while the numbers to the left are negative x values. With the y, this is the vertical axis, the numbers above the 0 are positive and below are negative. So I start with, I have -1, -1. So I go over to the left, -1, and I go down to -1. And I mark on the graph, this is -1, -1. For this point here, I go to the right 1, and then I go up 1. That's 1, 1. This one, I go to the right 2, and then I go up 1. I'm going to run out of space here. But now 3, 2 is 1, 2, 3, up 1, 2. So it's this dot right there, 3, 2. If you can see that, let me zoom in a little bit. So I have my 4 points, -1, -1, 1, 1, 2, 1, and 3, 2. Now I'm going to represent this in a mapping. My oval on the left represents my x values. My oval on the right represents my y values. Now when I write a mapping, I don't duplicate numbers. So I'm going to put in my x values, and I don't have any duplicates here. When I go to put in my y values, I notice I have a duplicate. I'm not going to write that twice. I'm only going to write it once. So I'll only have 3 numbers on the right-hand side. On the left are my inputs. That's my domain. On the right are my outputs, or my y values. That's my range. I'm going to complete this mapping by drawing the arrows. -1 maps to -1. 1 goes to the number 1. I draw my arrow. 2 also goes to the number 1. So I have 2 arrows going into the range value of 1. And then 3 goes to 2. Now it says determine the domain and range. Well, I can already tell you what my domain and range are. I'm going to write them a certain way though. My domain is a set of numbers. So I'm going to write it in set notation. And I'm going to put them in order, -1, 1, 2, 3. I do the same thing with my range. And when I write it in set notation, I do it just like my mapping. I only write the number 1 one time, even though it occurs twice in my table. I also want to put these numbers in numerical order. So I have a table, I have a graph, I have a mapping, and I've identified the sets of numbers for my domain and range. Let's do it again down here. Example number 2. I just take my ordered pairs, I write them in my table. The first number is always the x value, the second number is the y value. Okay, now I have to come over to my graph and plot these points. 0, 4. Well, I don't go anywhere on the x-axis. I stay right here. And then I go up positive 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to wait until I'm done to mark my graph. Now I go to the left 4. 1, 2, 3. Negative 4. Down 1, 2, 3, 4. Because they were both negative. Now I'm going to go to the left 2, but I'm going to go up 3 because that's a positive 3, and the numbers up here are positive. And then I'm going to go to the right 4, and I'm going to stay right there on the x-axis because I don't move vertically. I stay at 0. So this was 0, 4. Let's see, down here was negative 4, negative 4. Negative 2, 3, and 4, 0. This is my graph. Now I'm going to write my mapping. And this time I am going to go ahead, and I did it up here too, but I'm going to put my numbers in numerical order. So my smallest number is negative 4. Then I go to negative 2. Then I have 0 and 4. Then I'm going to take a look over here. Do I have any duplicates? No, I don't have any duplicates. And again, I'm going to put them in numerical order. So I'm going to go negative 4, 0, 3, 4. Now I need to make sure that I map correctly. My 0 on my x goes with 4 with my y. So I'm just going to make sure my arrows go to the right spot. Negative 4 goes to negative 4. Negative 2 maps to 3. And 4 maps to 0. Again, my x values are my domain. My y values are my range. And I'm going to identify these in set notation with the domain. Now I've already got my mapping in numerical order, so I can just copy down. And then my range. And I have now represented this relation in a table, in a graph, in a mapping, and by its domain and range.